kind of a trendy question from Braden. He says, where does the Money Guy Show see AI taking the financial industry? What aspects of the financial industry will always require human interaction versus could be put off or assisted with AI? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So we live in, we're financial advisors in our day job. And so we live in this world where it seems like every industry publication that comes out is talking about how will technology, how will AI, is it going to replace the field? Is it going to do away with the need for financial advisors? Is it going to fill in the blank? And, we saw a similar type thing when robo-advisors came out, and that was a thing. And it's really interesting. If you listen to the show for long enough, you've heard Brian and I talk about how when it comes to financial planning and when it comes to designing a plan and when it comes to making financial decisions, there are equal parts science and mathematics, like do this, don't do this, binary ones and zeros. But then there's also the art part. And I think what's really, really interesting about finance is when you can learn how to marry the mathematics and the art together, that's when you get something that's really, 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 really neat, right? So like our financial order of operations is one of the beautiful things I love. Brian, will you hold up the thing for me real quick while you're taking this? If you've not seen our financial order of operations, right? It's 9 steps, tried and true, that you can follow to figure out what to do with your dollars. Well, you can approach it very rigidly and say, okay, I gotta go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that is indeed the way that you should approach it, and that'll help you. But at some point in your financial journey, the art has to come into it. And if you're someone who's thinking about fire and you're thinking about leaving the workforce early, or maybe your employer has a different sort of account structure, there are ways that you have to sort of customize and move from sort of generalized solutions to very specialized and specific solutions. And so I think so long as we live in a world where that's the case, then there's always going to be a place for advisors, for folks like us in the financial world to help kind of guide and cultivate that. But what I think is crazy is the folks out there that want to fight against technology. I mean, I'll tell you personally, what we're trying to do is figure out, okay, all these advances in technology and artificial intelligence and all these sort of, how can we better utilize that to better use the message to better help the folks out there? We don't think it's going to be a negative, bad, disruptive thing. I mean, it may be disruptive. We think it's actually be a huge asset, something incredibly valuable that perhaps will allow us to do more for our folks, provide better service, provide better counsel, to more people on a grander scale. I think it's more exciting than frightening.
Yeah, I get excited about it. I'm not scared about it at all. And let me explain why. First of all, AI, if you've been playing around with it, is so good at taking and processing large batches of data. That gets me excited because it means a lot of stuff with, processing, tax return prep and tax review and those things. A lot of that stuff because, did you answer the problem correctly or solve the problem correctly? AI is going to crush that. It's going to do so well. It does very good on binary decisions. Is it 0? Is it 1? Is it 0? Is it 1? That's perfect. But the problem, here's where I feel very confident that we're not going to be replaced. And I felt confident, like as Bo has already talked about, when the robo-advisors showed up, when all these automated solutions supposedly started, coming into the marketplace, none of them have been able to really replace the financial advisor, the personal advisor. And you have to start asking why. And here's why. First of all, to do financial planning right, you're getting into people's lives that have so many variables. Because as I've told you guys, every client that shows up here as a prospect, I can talk about tax allocation, I can talk about tax location, and people show up like fingerprints. They all are different because we all walk in these different lives and on how we build our financial assets. So nobody looks the same. So that's one facet. And then you add on that us inefficient, emotional beings of humans. And we're not exactly the most efficient decision makers. That's why you have this whole behavioral science where you walk about how we make decisions that are not in our best interest because we react. The whole fear and greed cause lots of issues for us. So a lot of times a financial advisor not only has to be a very analytical decision maker to try to make the right decisions on the fork in the road moments, those incremental decisions, but you also have to be very efficient at navigating the personal struggles that a person has, but then also the relationship struggles that couples will have, because it's not uncommon that they try to use you as the mediator on things that they don't agree with. So I don't see how artificial intelligence can necessarily navigate the complexities of being the human who not has to have the ounce of analytical skill set, the ounce of experience to know what does it feel like to actually go from zero to build wealth, or what does it feel like for small business owners. Those are all different components that you add that wisdom in, and then you add that relationship person or counselor type component of it, where you're helping people navigate something that's very inefficient, not something that somebody is going to be willing to type in the variables. I remember, when we did our AI reaction show, we asked a prenup question. And oh my goodness, I mean, if you actually use the answer that I was like, obviously this poor sweet computer here, we don't want to offend them in case they are taking over the world, but it is one of those things where you bless their heart. They don't understand how human relationships work, because if you came in and said that, the couple would be like, what are we doing? We're taking our advice from this soulless thing that just talked about prenups that way. So I just don't worry about that. I think it'll be great at processing data. I think the smart financial advisor that's trying to figure out how you can leverage that, we are. You're going to be able to just become even better, because we're going to be able to go through much higher data sets. We're going to be able to think about when you're processing risk, when you're thinking about all the stress testing and everything you do for a financial advisor, that stuff's going to get easier. Reviewing a tax return is going to be easier, but still allows us to get better at those soft skill things that I think is just priceless for somebody. Because remember, you only get one retirement. We process tons of retirement, so you can hopefully know how to navigate your best version of yourself, so you own your time and focus your life on doing what you really want to do.